Hey guys, it's Stephen here. Welcome back to another video. Of course, Manchester City have just unfortunately drew. No, I don't think they lost. Then that's how it feels. Drew 0-0 against Crystal Palace. It was a really painful game of football. And this is the Fan View Live. I've not done this for a few months. I'm so sorry. In the midst of the move and the house and all that kind of stuff and COVID at Christmas, I didn't get around to it. But now I'm bringing it back. I didn't want to bring it back after a night like this, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Don't forget, Blues. If you are a Manchester City fan, you want to chat to me, it's very possible. I try and keep this open to Patreons and YouTube members. If you go on patreon.com/esteemed company, any tier, you can find a link in one of the blogs to join this. And of course, as well, in the community tab, if you're a YouTube member, you can have a chat to me as well. I think Michael is waiting to chat to me as well. Actually, I'm going to jump over and try and chat to Michael Grasso, who's joined me to chat away. Michael, are you there, mate? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me as well?
Yeah, you can. You're a little bit quiet, so I'll turn you up a bit. Whereabouts you calling from, man?
From Canada. I think the last time you did one of these, yeah, I spoke to you as well.
Oh, yeah, I feel like you did actually, yeah. That is starting to ring a bell, but so much has happened since then. Since the world's been so crazy, mate, that who knows, who you're speaking to. But either way, where's your head at after that performance, Michael? How are you feeling? I don't want to influence you in any way. I just want to genuinely know how you're feeling after this game and where you're at after it.
I mean, it's obviously disappointing. I forget who said it to me recently, but they were like, "I'm more scared for this game against Crystal Palace than the game against Liverpool." And it's just because like they're such like a monkey wrench. Whenever we play them, like something goes wrong. Like the first game this season, the red card, and just the basically gift for their first goal. And now this game, obviously we didn't lose, so at least that's a positive to take away from it. But it's just like so many chances that normally would go in, but just didn't go in today.
No, it was a weird game of football, and to be honest, Michael, as well, I felt exactly the same way. I said during the watch along that weirdly, I'm less nervous about Liverpool at home than I am Crystal Palace away, and I'm not sure if that's logical or makes any sense. And I'm sure I'll probably change my opinion in a month or so when we're actually about to play them. But it's weird, isn't it? It's like I feel like we're up. Not that we weren't up for this, but I feel like our control kicks in big games. In games like this, you just feel a little bit more vulnerable, don't you, to pluckiness, I guess, and things going wrong. And what was it down to today? The performance to you? I mean, did we play badly? I mean, if you did, what was it down to, and what do you make of the mistakes that we made?
I don't think that we played badly to say. I think there was a few moments where it was just a little bit too sloppy, even like defensively and on the attack, obviously. But in no way did we play badly, and I think it's hard to say what it was down to. Like everybody in the media is gonna say it's because we don't have a striker, we don't have a natural finisher in the team, and maybe that's right. But at the same time, like the chances that we did have, you'd expect any, forward or sort of more attack-minded midfielder to score, regardless.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. Yeah, I mean, how would you like? What do you do if you're Pep and you've seen players miss chances like that? I mean, like, in this instance, in your opinion, has Pep done his job tonight? If that makes sense, like, or was there more that you wanted from him, maybe decisions-wise in terms of substitutions? Were you one of those just frustrated about substitutions, or were you content with what was on the pitch?
I don't think substitutions were necessary, and by no means like we were guaranteed to win if he did make subs. But I feel like at least later on in the game, maybe it'd be good to make a change. But other than that, I think like the way the team was set up, like we were perfectly set up to go and win the game in the first place.
It fell away, didn't it? It really did, and that's what makes it frustrating. Because I think that was the team pretty much we all wanted. Like that's the team I wanted anyway. I'm not sure how you felt, but like when I saw that, I was like, it's the same as the derby. That'll do. Is that a fair conclusion?
Yeah, definitely.
It's just frustrating, isn't it? I mean, how are you feeling now about the rest of the season? I mean, like, because our run of form isn't great at the moment. It isn't. I can be honest. It's not terrible, but it's definitely a little bit sketchy. I mean, are there any other nerves kicking in yet for you, or are you still relatively confident about the start running?
I'm definitely nervous. I'll be straight
Yeah.
up. It's just because it's so close and they have the game in hand. Like maybe if they didn't have the game in hand and it was 4 points, I'd be feeling calm right now. But because they have the game in hand and they can only be 1 point, I think it's just so much pressure, and it'll make all of us feel like every game has to be won from now until the end of the year.
I don't think that's even wrong either, mate. I think every game does have to be won. That's the thing, and like it feels that way, doesn't it? I'm sure, like Liverpool, like how many have they won in a row? Liverpool, like it's a lot in it. Like I'm sure they can't win the next 9 in a row as well. I mean they can, but I mean if they manage to win like half the season in a row, at what point do you have to go? Well, they probably deserved it. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it's I don't know, Michael. Give me a reason to feel confident, Michael. Give me a reason to feel confident.
Well, it has been a while since they've lost in the Premier League, and so it could make you confident that they have to drop points sometime. And so, since it's been a while, they could drop it in these last 9 games.
They could do. I just looked. They won 8 games in a row in the league, so they'd have to win 18 in a row, maybe. They won't feel comfortable unless they win another 10 in a row. You know what I mean? So we'll have to see. But Michael, thank you very much, man. It's been a pleasure to chat to you. I've got a few people waiting, so I'm going to shoot over to them if that's okay, pal.
Yeah,
But
no
thank you so
problem.
much, Michael. You're a legend. Cheers, pal. Yeah, don't forget. Yeah, don't forget you can have your say if you want to. Like Louis is doing. I'm going to add Louis to the stream now. 1 second. I'll be in a second.
Damn.
How you doing, mate? You all
I'm
right?
trying to do my necklace back up, but
Oh, don't worry about your necklace, man. We've got bigger fish to fry than your necklace right now this second. We've got Manchester City's
totally.
performance against Crystal Palace tonight to pick the bones of. How are you feeling, mate? What was your take on that game tonight?
I don't know. I'm
That's a fair
frustrated,
answer.
but
Yeah.
I'm like it's like two sides of the coin. I'm like frustrated but satisfied at the same time because Palace. I hope you're doing well as well, by the way.
Sorry?
I hope you're doing well, by the way.
I'm fine, mate. I'm good. Life's good to me. I can't complain. I just wish City won tonight, but no, I'm good. Thank you for asking. But go on, what you're saying about the game? Sorry, mate.
It's two sides of the coin where I'm frustrated because we should have won, but compared to Liverpool when they played at Palace, I didn't watch the whole game, but despite them getting a blatant offside goal, we were really good, and yeah, it's just like compared to like if you're trying to compare and contrast, Liverpool weren't that good, especially the last half an hour. They were lackluster against Palace, and
Yeah.
we were on the front foot the whole time. So it's hard. So I felt like the XG showed it. We had 2 I think it was on the XG philosophy 2.76 when Sky had it at 2.36. It was so obvious that we should have won that game, even though like Palace, the crowd. I love the crowd at Selhurst Park, and they were always lively. There were moments where they were really quiet, but we definitely were on the front foot most of the time. But unfortunately, it felt like it just felt like what it shouldn't have been like against. I know it's like XG evens itself out. I just felt like if it was another game like Sporting in the first leg, it should have been like that, but it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree, man. We obviously create the chances to score the goals, so it's like, as I was saying to Michael, I don't really feel like Pep did anything wrong in terms of the system and the way we shaped up. We were a little bit sloppy in general tonight, but we still, you expect an element of chaos ball when you play Palace away, don't you? I think it's sort of expected that they're going to have some chances and some bit of possession and so on. But I guess for me, my overriding take on this, I'm not sure how everyone else feels in the chat about this, but the way it feels to me right now is that if you've got a team in the way that City have, in terms of we play essentially false nine and we play midfielders and wingers, you know, that's our, we don't play strikers. Every now and then you're going to have a night like this because those players become acutely aware that they are not strikers and that if they stop missing chances, I feel like the likelihood of them missing more goes up because they're aware of their own limitations, if that makes sense. So I feel like basically you'll just go on.
I'll add to that as well. Sky did this on purpose because they know Palace will love a night game, and apart from City in the Premier League, I'm not joking. Apart from City, I don't think there's anyone else apart from Anfield like against Barcelona the last time. Selhurst Park is rocking.
Yeah.
Like I always think like whenever I hear them, it's always that the stand that they are when they like attacking the second end. It's always they're constant like the drum bumping, and it's just like whoa.
I mean,
Like literally that.
I'd still say
constantly,
it's not on us, mate. It's still on us, though. I would say. I mean, like regardless, like Sky got a good game, and we had. Like, I don't really feel like personally, I feel hard done by anything.
I hated that it was like Sam Hutchinson. I was looking forward to hearing commentating, and he didn't let me down. It was Hinchcliffe. He's a former City player, and he's just like every single chance he has, moan. It's just like why? Just look at the positives in the game, not be like, look at this.
Have the commentary on, so I haven't heard what they were saying. With the,
I hate Andy Hinchcliffe for the life of me.
Oh, he's a miserable boy, isn't he?
The only other one that I hate more is Spitter, obviously.
My friend. How are you feeling about the title challenge now, mate? Where's your levels at confidence?
It's all right. It's all right. I don't know if you saw Bernardo's post-match like interview with whatever his name was at Sky, but he was just saying
I've not had a chance
about.
yet. No, I've been too busy editing. What
Nah,
was he
he's
saying?
like he just spoke about it all, and it's just like he asked him about Sudiev scored. He was like definitely, but he was also like they have to come to our place, and it's just like I'm pretty sure, like if we're within three, like no matter what happens, if they beat Arsenal Wednesday and then beat who was it? They play Watford, we play Burnley, like after the international break. I hate that so much that it's the international break. So much can happen. Like I'm pretty sure Martinez is going to play De Bruyne for every single minute of his life.
Yeah, you're right. He is.
He will. Like, and whatever his name is for Portugal, he's going to play Cancelo and Bernardo because they have to qualify for the. I was about to say the Premier League World Cup, but it's like Bernardo knows, like, and I'm pretty sure, like, I really want to be at that game, but I know there'll be no ticket in sight to be at the Liverpool game. But it will be exactly like, was it the 4th of January? 2019?
It was like the 3rd or 4th or something like that. I remember because
like, that game too. I'm not bragging.
It's going to be as big as that, isn't it?
Biggest game on a Thursday ever.
Yeah, that's going to be huge, man.
So it's like the whole stadium will be like from the first whistle to the last will be rocking, and
that's the thing. It's going to be a hell of a game. And look, I think either the season's not going to end on that, but that's going to be, presuming it's as close as it is now.
It's one of those moments. I just got this weird feeling though as well that the game before in the Champions League on the 3rd or 4th, then we played them in the Premier League, then the second leg, and then the weekend after for the semi-final of the FA Cup. I just got this weird feeling now. 4 games in a row, Liverpool.
Don't do it, mate. Don't do it. I could not.
I like those ones. It's just like this. Like the draw on Friday and then the draw on Sunday after our game. Like they play Forest. Like we play Southampton. They play Forest away. I don't know why.
I'm gonna pile that.
I'm sorry.
I can't handle that right now. Mate, it's been a pleasure chatting to you. I'm going to get Mulv on, who's been waiting for a little bit. But he's a legend. You're a legend, mate. I can't you in a bit. I can't handle the 4 times in a row. See you later, man.
I got him as well.
Oh, bye. What a guy. Top bloke, Louis. I'm going to bring on now Mulv. You may recognise this man from the Noisy Neighbours podcast. Let me get him on, get him lined up. 1 second. How you doing, Mulv? You're right, man.
Hey, Stephen, thanks for having me on, pal.
No worries. Guys, if you don't know, Mulv's from the Noisy Neighbours podcast, a wonderful podcast. Stateside, of course. Where's Joey? Is he well, Joey? Or is he?
He's hiding behind his couch in the fetal position, I think.
Yeah, that's what I would be doing if I wasn't on camera right now. It's pretty much a safe space. I'd be getting to Nicola just to spoon me to sleep and like just whimpering softly. But you braved up and manned up and come on camera. Thank you so much, Mulv.
Hey, no worries.
How's your head after that 90 minutes of football? That weird 90 minutes of football.
I've had about half an hour to cool off.
Yeah, it helps on it a little bit.
It really does.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the group chats were all popping off in that, and that's a dicey situation to dip into right after you lose. I mean, drop points. So I binned my phone off. Went out to pick up some food for the family and thought about it for a bit, and I'm much better now. So how about you?
Do you know what? It's weird to say this. I'm not in a single group chat about Man City. How you'd be surprised about that, but I'm not. So it makes it a lot easier. You'd think I'd be in lows, wouldn't you? But I'm not in any. I
I would.
It's not something that I don't know. Maybe I can't handle it. Maybe it's just too much football all the time. But it does help a little bit that I can just then switch off and no notification and all that kind of stuff. But it was weird that because I almost prefer games like this when we play badly, if you know what I mean, because it comes a bit easier to take. And like, does that make sense? Like, I'm not saying we play great,
Totally.
but it's almost like it's easier to take if we can go, fuck you, you're a knob, you're a manite, you're a wanker. But like, I can't do that
Like
to
Mancini.
anyone. Yeah,
Remember
exactly.
Mancini?
But I can't do that to Bernardo. You know, like Bernardo, I love him, and like Bernardo looked like he was in as much pain as we did, and yeah, here we are. How bad is this for us tonight, or how where are we at?
It's just frustrating. It's so neck and neck at the moment. It's just got those vibes of that season that we did already. Was it 18, 19?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was saying to some folks earlier, it took me about 6 months to get over that. The end of that season, it was that grueling. But no, I'm still confident. Like Bernardo said in the interview that Lewis mentioned, they do have to come to the Etihad, and we've sort of had their number recently there, so that gives me some confidence. Well, let me ask you this: has anybody? Because I just caught the end of Michael and then Lewis.
Yeah.
Does he go by Lewis or Louis?
I think it's Louis actually, but
Louis. He's great, by the way. He's always
a top bloke, Louis.
Always tweeting, isn't he?
Oh, Louis is always tweeting. He's got good energy, Louis.
Gundogan versus Bernardo today. Does Gundogan have at least 2 goals today?
He scores, doesn't he, in those chances?
He does.
I guess the point is, does he get to those chances? Does the game develop? The whole, butterfly flaps his wings, does things change, whatever. But you don't really know until you see it. But Gundogan's a better finisher than Bernardo, and he's a better finisher probably than most of our team at the moment. So that's a fair comment.
Would it be safe to say, when you know you're going to play a team that's going to pack it in like Palace did, would it be safe to say that Gundogan's might be a better choice, whereas in a more open game, the more balanced team would have Bernardo and KDB next to each other? Because I loved the lineup. I just wonder if Gundogan today maybe is a difference maker.
You're probably right. You can also at the same time see Pep's reasoning for using the Mr. Energy in the middle of the pitch at Selhurst Park. Yeah. When a game is going to be end to end, it is going to be ferocious. It is going to be about the energy of the crowd. And is there any midfield that we've got that loves a bit of need and a little bit of aggression more than Bernardo? And that's what the game in Guardiola's eyes could have descended into, and it sort of did in a way. So it's weird, isn't it? Because it's easier to sit here and play captain hindsight, and you're probably right about Gundogan. But I'm not just saying this. I tweeted before, and I'm not lying. I'm generally not lying. I said on Twitter that at no point was I sat there thinking, I wish we'd bring one of those players on. And it was weird because normally I'm sat there going, make a sub, Pep. And I think and maybe it's a little bit harsh on those players, but it does feel like, and the nights like this night, you can look at it and go, nothing's going to really make a difference. Like, we are lacking that bastard, in front of goal. And that maybe could have been Gundo, but I wouldn't say, Gundo has not been as in great goal scoring form as last season, and maybe we're clinging on to last season's form. But that's not to say he wouldn't have scored. He could have. Jesus could have scored still. He could have. But I think the conclusion I'm making is that I felt like looking at the bench, it's probably going to be more the same if they come on. It might not be, but I understand Pep's reluctance, to change things because we were creating chances. It's weird, isn't it?
Completely agree. No, this is complete hindsight, by the way, because I didn't have Gundogan in my 11 before the game. I'm the same as you. During the game, I didn't think bring Gundogan on. I'm just thinking going forward, if you know it's going to be a low block, maybe Gundogan's the man.
It's just tough, isn't it? It's really tough, and maybe this is where next season when we we sign the big man,
right.
You all know, I tried to make a joke about who the big man could be, but we just mean Haaland, you know what I'm on about. I was going to say, I don't know, like fucking, I'm tired of I've forgotten strikers who exist that aren't Haaland. But then maybe we have him, maybe we have Alvarez, and Maybe we have like one of them on the pitch and then the other on the bench, and all of a sudden that it feels different. You know, when you can bring us on, you know, who has that smell of goal that Guardiola always says, which doesn't make loads of sense, but you know what he means by that. Like, maybe Guardiola's acutely aware of that as well, and maybe Guardiola just doesn't trust Sterling or Jesus at the moment to score goals, which sounds crazy given they're meant to be forwards who score them, but it's sort of telling, isn't it, that he didn't bring him on, in my opinion. It's not good, and maybe he was wrong to not bring him on, but if I'm Sterling and Jesus who's sitting there watching us miss sitters and I'm not getting on the pitch, I'm not feeling very confident myself. Is that a fair conclusion?
Possibly, although it also points to Pep being quite happy with the way we were playing, I think.
Yeah,
I think,
maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of devil's advocate here going on.
maybe you play the odds, right? If we miss sitters for 70 minutes, it probably means we'll get one in the last 20 minutes. I don't know. Does it mean like that thought of like, well, are we due for one because we've missed some easy ones earlier, or is it going to be one of those days sort of thing? Yeah.
Is this a bad night for Manchester City Football Club? Like, are you looking at the money now? And are we overreacting a little bit, or you know, like, or
we always overreact?
Yeah, of course we are. Because we've got to fucking overreact, haven't we? Where's your confidence levels at now, then?
No, they're still very good, still very high. It's Pep Guardiola we're talking about. It's not Brendan Rodgers managing this thing.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it's what is it? How many games to go? 9?
9 games for us, yeah. 10 for Liverpool.
9 games to go. One of them's Liverpool. We'll be well up for that. And I don't know. Are Liverpool going to face teams that play that well? You know, or defend that deep? I don't know.
It's weird because they've got to win, essentially. They were looking at it and saying they've got to win the next 10, and they've won 8. So, like, if they win 18 games in a row, how can anyone compete with that, to be fair?
You
like,
can
at
have
that
it.
point, like, you can just almost, like, I mean, at that point, I'm like, yeah, you're an insanely good side. And there is an element of just riding out and seeing what happens. I mean, I don't know about you, but I am genuinely more confident for the Liverpool game than I am this one. Like, I really was, honestly. Like, I feel like I like City in big games at the Etihad. I like us, you know, when we're playing a Chelsea or Liverpool or something like that. I mean, obviously, we've had bad results against both of those sides, but usually I trust that we're going to show up and we're going to, exert our style onto them. But it's Palace away that's difficult. Wolves away coming up as well. They're the games I'm worried about more, but...
that would be a Gundogan game for me. Wolves. I'd have Gundogan in there for that because I was at the home tie back in December. It was an ugly game of football, if you remember. We scraped it with a penalty. Yeah, so I imagine they'll play in a similar fashion. So I'd love Gundogan in that one.
It would be nice. Are you expecting anything from the Arsenal Liverpool game? I mean, I can't say.
You're not.
No, I'm not. I think I've gone pure optimistic, mate. But they're a winning machine. But you reckon Arteta's going to do something?
I fear. I think like you that Arsenal is the type of team that Liverpool would tear apart. Like I want more Palace type. You know, I want them to play more Palace type teams or Southampton or something like that who can really defend well.
It's that's my perspective, Jenny. Unfortunately, I do think Liverpool are just going to be too good for Arsenal. I think Arsenal will try and do the thing, but will come across a little bit naive. I mean, Salah's allegedly injured, which is interesting. I mean, not that they haven't got the players to come in. Yeah, allegedly he missed training today. I mean, it could be he has an ice pack on his foot for a day. He plays FIFA and he's all right tomorrow. But I'm not one to cheer injuries, but that would be useful. I wouldn't complain.
Well, I'll say to their credit, when they've been missing some of the big players this season, the players that have come in have really, really performed. Whether it's Jota or who's the new bloke? Is it a Diaz?
Diaz, yeah.
Yeah, like they've really made some signings. Like we used to say about that front three, if any of them are out, they're in trouble.
Yeah,
I don't think you can really say
them, and they are doing.
Yeah, you can't really say that anymore because every time they bring a new player in, they keep winning. So I mean, the African Cup of Nations, right? They were missing Salah and Mane, and they didn't really skip a beat. So
it's frustrating.
Credit to them.
Mulv, cheers, man. I'm going to get onto a few people waiting as well. It's been an actual pleasure to chat to you. Mulv's a legend. Noisy Neighbours podcast. If you're not listening to it, you're doing football wrong. As simple as that, really. Go and give it a listen.
It's kind.
No, honestly, it's light-hearted Manchester City brilliance. At Noisy Pod on Twitter. Go and give him a follow. I'll put it in the comments, actually. No worries, mate. 1 second. I'll put it. There we go. I'll put it in the comments there. go and give them a follow. Mulv, catch you in a bit, man. Thank you very much
All
for
right,
coming
speak soon, mate. Ta-ra.
See you later. Bye bye. Mulv's top bloke, an absolute legend. I'm going to go to Liam now, who's been waiting patiently. Liam, I hope you're there and you're ready. I'll go to Liam, who's got his camera on. There we go. Liam, how you doing, mate? You okay?
Hello, can you hear me,
I
Stephen?
can hear you nice and clearly, mate. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Liam, whereabouts are you, man?
I'm actually from Swindon.
Oh, Swindon, the place of
Mm.
the team, my first ever game, Swindon, in
Yes.
1994.
Yeah. I look a bit of a scruff at the moment. I'm literally in my pajamas, trying to
Don't worry,
digest
man.
that game.
Yeah, I mean that could be as well. Looking at me, this could be pajama top. How's it going with the whole digesting of the game thing?
It just had to be, didn't it? Crystal Palace. Honestly, fair enough. You know, Patrick Vieira's come in and just, you know, he's doing good things at Crystal Palace. It's funny because my partner's actually a Palace fan, and he has a lot of Palace friends, and they're all going to be messaging me like,
Damn it.
we
I bet he's having a
we
great time.
we beat you once, but we almost did it again. It's like, oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not great, is it? I mean, it is literally the banana skin game, as I called it, because it just kind of had to be, didn't it?
Yeah, it was always going to be, man. Like, is it? What was your take on the actual performance? You know, we've obviously chatted to a few people tonight as well, and people are relatively split on it. Do you think Pep will be concerned? I mean, that's a loaded question, but I genuinely wonder what you think Pep made of that game tonight.
I think in terms of the performance, I don't really think it wasn't a great game at all. I wasn't
Yeah.
expecting it to be a Pep masterclass by any stretch of the imagination. I knew it was just going to be scrappy, and they were going to sit deep and try and press.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I think Guardiola may be concerned. It's a bit weird to say, really, because I think I was reading a couple of his a few of his comments after the game, and I think I don't know. He was saying that yes, we should have taken the chances, and I think we all sort of go back to this bit where it's like if we had Haaland, maybe this would have been a different story.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And it's
So
it's easy to do that, isn't it? It really is.
I don't know. I think the performance wasn't great. Oh, what happened there?
No, sorry, that's my fault. I accidentally pressed the wrong button, so all good.
Oh.
No, I mean, like, it wasn't great. I mean, obviously, it's the striker issue is what we needed. We all know we're going to need to. It's just like, it's weird, isn't it? Because we can keep pointing out all these little errors, and it's weird how many our problems this season have been built around just a lack of a striker, which kind of makes you think. Then when we solve that next season, in theory, then there's probably nothing to worry about. But it's
just
a question of
it always comes up, doesn't it? It's like it's the type of game where we need a striker. It's like, well, we know, but we can't really. I know. I mean, I know. I think I agree with you on one thing. I think even though we had players on the bench that could make a difference, I'm just thinking, well, if the team isn't, up to, isn't performing at the best, like if Grealish isn't playing up to the best, if De Bruyne is not, up there or whatnot, I'm thinking Sterling, I don't know, it wouldn't make me think, okay, Sterling, he's going to win us the game, sort of thing. Or Jesus. Gundogan, I think probably should have maybe come on if Pep was going to.
Gundogan's the fairest shout, I reckon.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with that because people have probably talked me into it a little bit, and maybe sometimes it is a case. Even though maybe sometimes you'd have to be playing. I think there's a perception that you have to be playing badly to make a substitution. It's not always true, really, is it? Like, I mean, like I guess I don't think anyone's having an awful game or anything like that. And I understand why Pep wanted to keep certain people on, but it could be the case that actually it might have been that just a change of approach. Or maybe a change of guile on the pitch in terms of like the finesse that someone like Gundogan brings could have been enough. It might have done nothing.
Maybe.
It might have done nothing, Liam. But at the same time, it could have been worth a try, couldn't it? How are you feeling now? How are you feeling now? I guess for the running because we dropped a few points. Is it panic stations yet, or is it just this is life? Carry on, crack on.
Where do I start? I think. As I'm sort of digesting this game, I'm just sort of taking every game as it comes because I don't know, putting myself in a thought where you look at fixtures for both City and Liverpool.
Yeah.
It's just thinking, oh, what if this happens? What if this doesn't happen? It's like your mind just. It's just not good for the mind to keep thinking about, oh, Liverpool could do this or City could do this, but then what if this happens? What if this doesn't happen? It's
Yeah,
like
exactly. Yeah.
I've just sort of stopped overthinking it like that, and I'm just taking it as it comes. Whenever, I mean, we might all think we've bottled it. I mean, I don't
I
want
don't
to
think we have,
say
man.
that we.
We
I
haven't
don't think
bottled it
we've
until we
bottled it
bottled it, you know?
exactly. Like not until the times where we think, okay, maybe this is it, but it's not. We're still. The reality is, we're still 4 points clear. Even
Yeah.
if Liverpool win, we're still top of the league. I know it's only by 1 point, but
Yeah.
that is still the reality. I mean, we may end up thinking, we're all sulking now, but then Arsenal, they could perform a shock. You never know. That's the thing. You just never
Well,
know.
that's the most frustrating. We see this so often in football, Liam, where you drop points and then the other team does as well, and we go, "Why the fuck did we drop points against Palace? We could be so many points
Yeah.
ahead now." And it happened. That's
The
the thing,
karma
is we
could
always
come to
presume it's going to go
Liverpool.
that way, and it might not go that way. But football does that more often than we care to notice. It really does, and it can get frustrating. Obviously, watching that happen, but fingers crossed. In this instance, that is the scenario. Liam, it's been a pleasure, mate. Thank you so much for coming on. You're a top bloke. Fingers crossed.
Brilliant.
Next time we
Thanks
chat,
for
it's a
having
little bit more positive. No worries, mate. Catch you in a bit. See you later.
Cheers, man.
Cheers to Liam, a lovely bloke. I'm gonna bring in Umir now. Actually, 1 second. How you doing, man? You all right?
Hey mate, you're right. I'm all right.
to-
It's a
Good to meet you, so to
interesting
speak.
result. Yeah, very nice to meet you, man. Could have been on happier circumstances.
Could have been. I know. Sorry for dragging you onto the channel for the first time after this
No, I don't mind.
absolute mess. How do you pronounce your first name, mate? I want to make sure I get it right, because I'm really conscious about getting names wrong.
No, you got it right. Yeah, Omer.
Amir.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
Just because I've got a surname McInerney, no one ever gets it right. So since being a small child, I make sure I get everyone's name right, because it's just the thing of mine. Thank you for coming on, man. It
No
was
problem.
a weird night of football. Where's your head at after that game? Because it was one of those nights that we've seen so many times, but they never get easier to take. For me, they don't anyway. But where are you at after that?
I think I tweeted too many times tonight.
You could have just stopped there.
Yeah.
That's my life as well. So
But basically, I think like I don't know, like half an hour after game, I'm not too bothered by it. I think I've sort of seen some of the things that have been going on in the games, and like I think since I don't know, this might be a bit of a rogue shout, but I think since like the Arsenal Chelsea games and Southampton games, which were a while back, I think we haven't been performing sort of to our highest standard. And we've been grinding out the results, but I think sort of a period like this was a little expected. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of the lineup, but I was impressed. There were some players that did impress me. I thought Grealish, particularly, sort of came into his own today. John Stones was good, and then other than that, it
Yeah, I
was a
agree with those
disappointing
two.
result. So
They were stand out for me personally as well. I thought Stonesy was excellent, and Grealish he did his job. He should have had a couple of assists, at least one anyway.
yeah,
I know it's a very basic way of looking at it, but it's sort of true. You can't do much more as a winger than put big chance on a plate like that. It was. I said it earlier to someone else. You probably weren't on the stream, but the thing is, I always feel like nights like this are so predictable when you've got the team that we've got, because
yeah,
we essentially we play midfielders and we play wingers, and obviously they can be goal scorers too, but they're not instinctively strikers. And I feel like sometimes when you start missing chances like this, the likelihood of scoring gets lesser and lesser. Weirdly, not always, of course, because that doesn't make any sense statistically. But what I mean is they start to realise that they are not strikers, and they're like, oh my god,
Yeah.
my chance is going to cost us here potentially, and the pressure weighs down on them more than it would a Haaland or even a Delap or
Yeah.
a Aguero, because they aren't those cold-blooded killers in front of goal. So I feel like every now and then we are going to have a night like this, given the way that we play, because by the inherent nature of the players that we have, they aren't the ones that always kill a game off. They can do it, but you get what I'm saying with that? Like, it's almost like it's inevitable every now and then we'll have a game once again, because we haven't got a striker. And that's a really basic way of looking at it. But I guess the point I'm making is that you can't really avoid it. You just have to accept it.
no, I completely agree with you. I think there are some players that are sort of more suited to scoring or getting in the box. I think Gundogan particularly, like obviously you wouldn't think of him as a striker or anything, but he,
No,
especially
you're
last
right.
season when he did goals, he times it well. He gets in the box. Sterling, Foden, I think Mahrez this season as well is really like he's arriving in the box often. He's making the runs. We didn't see it too much today, but just in general, I think sometimes the personnel plays just a lot of creators, and without players who make those runs, I think Sterling and Gundogan and Foden are the main ones who do make those runs. So when you only have Foden there, I think KDB as well. KDB makes a lot of those runs, and he got on
Yeah.
the end of quite a few today. But obviously, he's probably your best passer in the team. So if he's the one getting in the box with Foden, then I think the team would benefit basically if it had Sterling and Gundogan making those runs to be found by Mahrez and KDB, for example.
I think it's De Bruyne today. Like I can't deny De Bruyne's effort today. He was absolutely ferocious.
Yeah.
He worked exceptionally hard, and he was the one driving City forward repeatedly, which was very KDB, very impressive. And his visible frustration as well. You kind of hope that's not frustration is not going to spill over, into the squad. I don't think it will do because KDB is that kind of person. But yeah, do you think was there the space for Sterling tonight, in your personal opinion? It was a weird game. It was a weird game because it was just they were deep, Palace, but it didn't feel like there was never anywhere for the ball to be moved at times. And that's how I personally saw it. But I don't know. I know you're obviously a Sterling fan. I know that in general, but
I think if you ask me that question, I would say I'd play Sterling in every game. But
yeah,
if I was
so
going
maybe
to
I'm asking the wrong guy.
specifically,
Yeah.
no, but specifically about today's game, I would say, like we did have big chances. I think on the basis of the chance that we had, obviously we should have probably won the game with Bernardo's chances and then Laporte. But those chances sort of came from rebounds off long shots. They came in transition when Palace pushed up a little bit themselves, and when there was space. I think what Sterling really thrives on and what he gives City is that threat in behind when a team sits really deep and compact. Um, and obviously, Grealish likes to get the ball in sort of the midfield areas. Foden's playing this false nine role. Nobody's making the runs in behind to sort of be on the end of those chances.
Yeah.
So I think Sterling would have been.
I think the
I
closest
really
you
like
get
Sterling playing
is
in the front
is
three, of
Mahrez
course.
kind of getting onto the diagonal. That's the closest we get, isn't it? Sometimes, that
Yeah.
kind of. But then Cancelo had his radar off a little bit today. He quite overhit quite a few, didn't he? Which is a little bit frustrating, but that's life. I mean, how are you? how are you feeling about Liverpool's running? Obviously they've got not the upper hand's not the right word, but the momentum is.
They've got
currently
the
with
momentum,
them. Yeah, they have. Of course, it can carry on. Will it carry on, in your personal opinion? I mean, do you think is it going to be a different ball game as well when they come to the Etihad? Because I've said it a few times to people now. I don't feel as nervous as I do about that game as I do about this game tonight, which is really strange.
Yeah.
It's just honestly, I'm not just making that up. I
Yeah.
genuinely don't. I feel like I trust City against Liverpool at the Etihad. I don't away at Selhurst Park. And what is that?
Yeah.
If you try to break that down, why do you think that is about the team? Like, do you think we're going to suit that game more than this one?
I think Pep sort of sets up against Liverpool in a way where he shows Liverpool more respect than sort of any other opponent that he's ever really faced. And I think in recent seasons gone by, like we really suit sort of giving them a little bit of the ball, and then we've had Mahrez in behind a lot of the times, Foden especially. Sterling had like a really good game in the 4-1 win last time.
Yeah, I remember. Well, didn't you put? You gave Trent an absolute runaround, didn't you? Joe Gomez as well. Was that when he won the penalty against Gomez?
I can't remember. He did win a penalty. But yeah, so I think just in general against Liverpool, I think because the stakes are so high, like Liverpool don't steamroll City. They have a sort of a respect for City as well, which sort of takes away some of their strengths. And the City, we have that sort of history of being so good in the build-up that we take away Liverpool's press, which is one of their biggest strengths. And then after that, the game is sort of 50-50, but I think we usually have the edge in recent games. We more struggle against just a team that sits in with really strong sort of counter-attacking threats.
Which is Palace.
So, yeah.
They do
Palace.
have that. I mean, like they're just good at it, aren't they? Just hitting the channels with Zaha. That ball to Zaha, the amount of times to be on the fullbacks, and it's the same for Olasey as well. Like, Come to think of it though, like we talked about, like they didn't really create many big chances. They had a few breaks, but it wasn't like Palace were, they had like kind of like moments as opposed to shots and goal. They had obviously that one where Conor Gallagher near the end, and
Yeah.
they had when he kind of shot from a tight angle, and I think Zaha at one point drilled it right down Edison's arms from the edge of the area,
Yeah.
but it wasn't exactly like. You almost kind of allow for the odd moment like that, at home to Palace, because obviously away at Palace, sorry, at home for them, because they obviously have the players on the counter, they can do that. But I guess it's weird because in your head, we immediately presume those mistakes that we made in the first half led to big chances. They sort of didn't actually. They just kind of led to crosses that nearly led to chances, kind of thing. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is that we didn't. It wasn't like it was a disaster defensively. There's a few sloppy mistakes here, but we weren't like Edison wasn't called into action, making big saves. It just felt edgy. And that's
I think defensively we were actually pretty solid in terms of the back line. But I think when Palace are able to get out, I think they had like an injury in the first half, and then they were able to sort of regroup when we were sustaining a lot of pressure. And then those chances, they're not big chances, but I think they harm City in terms of our attacking threat, as in we can't.
As in, like, knocked our confidence a little bit.
Yeah, and we just can't put sort of Palace under more pressure to sort of make them slip up. Because against teams where we really pen them in, a goal usually comes. You can sort of sense when a goal is going to come. The crowd sort of get on edge. But when they get the chances to sort of get out, the crowd get behind them. Then we have to sort of start the whole process again of penning them in, moving them, and waiting for a moment.
What is it about teams on the counter in Manchester City? What is it about it? Why is this a bit of an Achilles heel about it, in your opinion?
I think we can deal with it. It just depends on who plays, and I think there's only a certain sort of setup that allows us to really nullify it. But I think when we press them really well from the front, then it's hard for them to pick the pass to counter us in the first place. And obviously, Grealish and Morris are excellent players, and Morris's press has really improved. But I think they're not as sort of aggressive pressers as Foden and Jesus and Sterling. Like I think in the Real Madrid game,
he's not quite snappy for one, is he, in terms of his acceleration and so on?
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, that does make a difference. Pace helps with a press, doesn't it? Like it. Does.
And they're really sort of like they press with a really nice shape, as in they close down the angles and they force the other team to go long and not find their players. And then also, I think in midfield, obviously De Bruyne offers so much going forward, but I think in terms of like his dynamism and sort of getting back to cover the sort of like defensive midfield areas, I think Bernardo and Gundogan are more likely to do that than a KDB, who's more likely to sort of provide going forward.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair, man. Umir, it's 11:30. I've realised I cannot be asked to watch City anymore. Like, I need some food. I'm knackered. It's a pleasure to meet you, so to speak, man. Thank you so much for coming on, and I'd love you on again at a point if you want to. Hopefully after a much better result than tonight, man.
Yeah,
catch you
Liverpool win at Liverpool, and I'll jump
fucking
on.
Yes, damn right. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be here. I'm out the country again, doing my jet setting thing. I'll be watching it in Korea. True story.
That's nice.
That'll be interesting. No idea. I'll be fucking K-popping my way to a happy place, hopefully. Anyway, thanks very much for coming on, man.
Hopefully.
Catch you very soon.
No problem, mate. Thank you so much.
Yeah, in a bit. So, Imran's Top Bloke, thank you so much for watching, guys. I'm going to leave it there. Of course, that was a disappointing night of football. I did my match reaction. You can go watch that if you want to. Of course, there's the watch along. It's been a frustrating night of football, but I don't think it's a disaster. And I think we need to remember that things could always be a lot worse than they currently are. We are currently top of the table. It's getting smaller, that gap. I can't deny that. But we'll be all right. We'll be all right, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. If you want to have your say next time in the FanView Live, you can become a member or a Patreon member. And it helps support the channel. Thank you for watching. Thank you so much to Michael, Liam, Louis, Mulv, Umir. I think I covered everyone there, and sorry if I've missed anyone out. They're all awesome. In a bit. Bye-bye. Good night.